$30,000 is not where people get rich. It's where new risks start finding you. Not loudly, not aggressively, just more often. You don't notice it the day your account crosses the line. There's no notification that says, new level unlocked, higher financial gravity. What actually happens is much quieter. You open your banking app one morning. You see the number, 30,142. Nothing explodes, but something inside you relaxes. For months, maybe years, every purchase felt heavy. Groceries were decisions. Subscriptions were reviewed. A $40 mistake was annoying enough to remember. You were operating like someone building momentum. Now, you're someone who made it here. Not rich, but safe enough. And that's where the first shift happens. You start spending a little more. Not irresponsibly, not recklessly, just differently. You worked hard. You sacrificed weekends, skipped trips, said, not now, more times than you can count. So when something small comes up, a better chair, a nicer dinner, the upgraded version instead of the basic, you don't argue with yourself the same way. You call it a reward, a recovery, a delayed celebration. Nothing breaks. Your account still looks healthy, but the friction is gone, and friction was the only thing protecting your momentum. The purchases aren't big enough to scare you. They're actually very reasonable. An extra $120 here. A slightly more expensive grocery basket. A few quality of life upgrades that make your day easier. Individually, they make sense. Collectively, they change your monthly burn rate without asking permission. You don't notice it immediately, because income didn't drop. Nothing dramatic happened. But free cash flow quietly shrinks. Not enough to panic, just enough that saving starts requiring effort again. And while that's happening, something else begins. Not from you, from the outside world. Once your financial behavior changes, your exposure changes. You start receiving more offers. Not because someone is watching you personally, but because your patterns now match someone eligible. Your email gets a message. You've been pre-approved. Higher credit limit, better rewards, travel points, cash back. At first, you ignore it. Then you think, I'm responsible now. I have savings. I can handle it. The card arrives. Nothing bad happens. You use it for groceries. You pay it off. Everything is clean, efficient, disciplined. But the environment around you is no longer neutral. It's optimized to increase your spending capacity. Not today, over time. Ads change too. You don't notice it consciously, but you start seeing different things. Higher-end brands, premium tools, designed for professionals, built for people like you. The messaging is subtle. Not luxury as fantasy, luxury as deserved utility. You don't suddenly buy a Rolex. You buy the better version of things you already use. Shoes that last longer, devices that save time, subscriptions that increase productivity. Each one sounds logical, and individually, they usually are. But your baseline cost of living shifts upward, quietly, permanently. Then comes the third leak, the one nobody talks about, because it doesn't look like spending at all. Your life infrastructure upgrades with you, and infrastructure is expensive to maintain. The cheaper chair you used for 2 years finally breaks. You replace it. But you don't go back to the $60 version. You buy the $280 ergonomic one. Because now, your back matters. Your time matters. Your comfort matters. Your phone screen cracks. You don't repair it cheaply. You upgrade. Because the repair cost is almost the price of new anyway. Your car needs maintenance. But now you go to the better service center. More reliable. More expensive. None of these decisions are irrational. In fact, they're often better decisions. The problem isn't the decision. The problem is the new cost floor they create. Once your life quality upgrades, it rarely downgrades voluntarily. Maintenance becomes more expensive. Replacements become more expensive. Your normal monthly expense quietly resets. And because none of this happened through a single mistake, you don't feel like anything went wrong. There was no bad trade, no financial disaster, no obvious failure. Just a slow drift. More comfort, more access, higher baseline costs. You still have money. You're not broke. You're not in danger. But something important is missing now. The surplus. The excess energy that used to push your savings forward every month. You open your account again. $31,200. Next month, $31,050. then 31,400. Movement slows, then stalls. Not because you became irresponsible, but because the environment around you became more expensive and you adapted to it. You didn't lose money in one decision. You lost forward momentum through dozens of reasonable ones. The spending increase felt earned. The credit offers felt harmless. The upgrades felt intelligent. And none of them triggered alarm. Because nothing broke. You just stopped accelerating. This is where many people live for years, floating between progress and regression. Busy, stable, but no longer climbing. You didn't go backwards dramatically, you just became easier to pull backwards. And the most dangerous part, no one ever warned you that this was the phase where risk multiplies. Not when you were struggling, not when you had nothing. Right here, where things finally started to feel safe. At first, nothing collapses. It just slows. The number still moves, but not the way it used to. What once grew every month now barely changes. Saving stops feeling automatic. Progress turns into maintenance. Then maintenance turns into waiting. And eventually, the account stops climbing at all. You're not losing money, you're just not gaining anything anymore. Momentum is gone. Then something normal happens. A repair, a medical bill, a car issue you didn't plan for. Not a disaster, just real life. And suddenly, you're not covering it from new income. You're pulling from the $30,000. The drop is noticeable this time. 29,400, 28,700. It doesn't feel catastrophic, but it feels heavier than it should. Because while the balance is going down, your new habits stay. The higher spending, the upgraded baseline, the comfort you already accepted. Those don't reverse easily. So the account drains faster than it was built. Months of effort disappear quietly. Then years. You didn't blow the money. You didn't gamble it away. You just built a life that costs more than your old discipline can sustain. And one day you realize, all that difficult progress has been erased by perfectly reasonable decisions. If you want the number to keep moving up after 30,000, you don't try to be better with money. You remove your ability to slowly drift backward. You install rules that operate whether you feel disciplined or not. First, you set a floor. Let's say your account reaches $30,000. You decide that $22,500 is now untouchable. Not try not to spend. Not I'll be careful. Untouchable. That means if your checking and savings combined ever approach $22,500, spending stops automatically. No upgrades, no optional purchases, no lifestyle expansion. Why that number? Because it protects 75% of your original climb. Even if something unexpected happens, a $2,000 repair, a $1,200 medical bill, you absorb the hit without destroying your financial base. Before the floor existed, every dollar felt available. After the floor, part of your money becomes infrastructure, not spending power. This single boundary quietly restores financial tension, not stress, just a line your behavior cannot cross casually. Second, you automate the harsh part. You continue living like your balance is still around $7,500 to $10,000. That means, if your monthly income is $4,000 and you previously survived on $2,600, you keep operating near that same spending level. Not because you enjoy restriction, because that gap is your acceleration engine. Instead of lifestyle expanding to consume the extra $1,400, that surplus now moves every month, automatically. For example, on payday, $1,000 immediately leaves your checking. $400 remains as buffer. No decision required. No weekly debate. From the outside, your life looks stable. Inside, your savings rate becomes aggressive again. Momentum returns without needing willpower. Third, you separate layers of money so temptation can't reach it quickly. Anything above the $22,500 floor does not sit in the same account you swipe daily. Let's say you now have $30,000. You leave $22,500 protected. The remaining $7,500 is transferred into a separate investment account, a brokerage, index funds, treasury bills, anything that takes at least 24 to 48 hours to access. Now your financial structure looks like this. Operating account, $3,000 to $5,000 for monthly life. Protected floor, 22,500 untouched. Growth layer, $7,500 and growing, compounding outside your daily decisions. This changes your behavior instantly. Money you see every day feels spendable. Money that lives somewhere else feels committed. Already assigned, harder to justify pulling back for impulse comfort. So when a $900 car repair appears, you solve it from your operating layer, not your long-term trajectory. Over time, the floor stays stable. The growth layer expands quietly, and your day-to-day lifestyle does not inflate fast enough to erase progress. You didn't become more disciplined. You became structurally difficult to sabotage. Because after 30,000, the biggest threat is never one catastrophic mistake. It's slow leakage, a fixed floor, a controlled lifestyle, and money that is physically separated from temptation. Turn that leak into pressure, and pressure restores forward motion.